DMA or direct memory access. This is the third mode of data transfer. So what happens is technique that enables the data transfer between IO memory without CPU involvement. Earlier in programmed IO and interrupt IO, we were seeing how IO was giving data to CPU. Now here we shall see how memory and input output are connected. So as per analogy, earlier we were seeing how teacher and student was interacting to update the attendance, but now here the student shall update the attendance. Okay, so we can see from this figure we have the CPU, that is the teacher, memory, attendance sheet, input output, each and every student, DMAC, suppose this is the CR or monitor of the class. Now what happens whenever the input output is to be has any data that is to be updated, so it will first send a DMA request to DMAC. Okay, then it will then DMAC will say to the CPU by sending a hold request like, CPU, you have to wait, I have to perform some transactions. Okay, but but the all these devices are connected with the system bus. Okay, CPU knows where in the memory all the locations are or the programs are, or where the data of input output should land or should be saved. So those informations are sent from CPU to DMAC, like starting address and data count. Okay, those are sent, and after that immediately it sends the HDLA or hold is acknowledged. That is, control is given to DMAC, DMA chip. Okay, so control is given to DMAC. Now chip will say to input output that yes, it is acknowledged, your request has been approved. Now you can directly make the changes to the memory. So with these information it will change the memory. Okay, so as per analogy we can see that whenever the student wants to update his or her attendance, he will say DMAC, or that is the CR, that bro, please bring the attendance sheet from the teacher. Okay, so teacher has multiple attendance sheets. So how will CR or the students know where to update? So the teacher will say you have to update here in this page and take the attendance sheet or take the control of over the attendance sheet. So now this CR will give the same to input output. It is assumed that the student will update only his or her attendance. So input output is given, means the attendance sheet or control is given to input output, and it can directly update his or her attendance. Okay, now the attendance sheet cannot stay forever with the student, so after some time teacher has to take it back. So similarly, for forever the control cannot stay with input output or DMAC. CPU will bring back the control after some time. Same is written, input output wants to transfer data to memory. Transfers can be done using system bus, which is controlled by CPU. Okay, so input output device sends DMA request to DMA chip. Next, DMA chip sends a request, that is hold signal, to CPU to ask the control over the system bus. Now the system CPU directly does not grant the request cause neither input output nor DMAC knows where to transfer the data. So it sends the starting address and data count, and along with it will send the acknowledgement, that is HDLA signal, to DMAC. So from the figure we can see that DMAC, DMA chip sends hold signal to CPU. HDLA signal is sent from CPU to DMAC. The DMAC sends an acknowledgement to IO devices. This one, step 5, to get ready for data transfer. So now DMAC has taken control over system bus and IO can transfer data to, and CPU will sit idle. Okay, so while all these is going on, how can the teacher like teach. Students are not concentrating, right? So CPU is sitting idle during DMA.